The 80s had the greatest movies of all time. There's no doubt about it. And I'm about to say three things that are going to make you very uncomfortable. E.T. is overrated. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. And the 80s villain is so much better than today's villain. If your blood pressure just went up, good. Welcome to episode 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mostly Me, Occasionally Wise. I am Brian, and this is the first episode. Today, I'm ranking my top 10 80s movies of all time. And this is my list. It was an easy list to put together because I love movies. I love movies of all genres. I love movies of all generations. And when putting this list together, it had a lot of heart because the 80s movies to me mean a lot. And so putting this list together again was not an easy one. But like I said, this is my list. Rewatch value matters. If I'm not casually putting it on when I'm bored, it's not going to make the cut. Nostalgia is such a powerful thing to me. But the rewatch value is also an honest thing. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of the episode, starting with number 10, The Breakfast Club. 5 stereotypes, 1 Saturday detention, all dialogue, and somehow it works. There's no explosions, no car chases, just teenagers slowly dropping their defenses. The jock, the brain, the princess, the basket case, and the criminal. And by the end, they're not labels anymore. They're people. And that final freeze frame fist pump where Judd Nelson is walking across the football field, it's iconic, it's simple, it's honest, and it still holds up. So Breakfast Club, number 10. Number 9 is Top Gun. Pure vibes. Great soundtrack, legendary sunglasses, motorcycles for absolutely no reason. You got beach volleyball, dogfights in the sky, and high fives that are overly aggressive. And take my breath away playing like someone just discovered emotions. Maverick is reckless, confidence, cocky, and somehow still likable. Most of us watch this movie, and let's just be real, we watch this movie thinking, okay, I can do this. I can become a fighter pilot. But, let's be real, I get nervous merging onto the highway, so it probably was not a calling for me. But this movie is iconic, and it always will be. Number 8. So, before we start with number 8, John Candy is one of my favorite actors of all time. Whether it's a leading role, a cameo, a small role, whatever. If John Candy is in it, I have enjoyed the movie because I haven't watched a documentary on Amazon, but just from the highlights and the trailer that I saw from that documentary, it showed me why I love him even more. He's such a good actor. He has such a broad range of acting skills. And so when I put number 8 on this list, it was between this movie and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. If you haven't watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, you need to. That's all I'm going to say. But my number 8 is Uncle Buck. John Candy was lovable and chaotic in this movie. Uncle Buck is the guy you call when things fall apart, even though he might also be the reason things fell apart. He shows up in a car that sounds like it runs on loose screws and optimism. He's not polished. He's not refined. He's not the perfect adult, but he shows up. And there are so many key moments in this movie. The pancake covering the entire griddle, the car that backfires, that sounds like it's declaring war, the drill interrogation between Uncle Buck and his niece, the cigar at the elementary school, and of course, the iconic line, "Here's a quarter, go downtown and have a rat gnaw that thing off your face." As a kid, it's hilarious, but as an adult, you realize it's about someone stepping into responsibility even when he's clearly not built for the structure. He doesn't have it together, but he shows up. And that hits differently when you're a parent. Messy, awkward, all heart. Peak 80s heart. I love this movie. Number 7, The Karate Kid. It's not about karate. It's not about being popular in school and trying to fit in. To an extent, I guess it is, but to me it wasn't. It was about mentorship, it was about discipline, and it was about earning confidence along the way. Wax on, wax off, paint the fence, sand the floor. As a kid, it looked like chores, but as an adult, you see a foundation being built. And the final crane kick with the Bill Conti music playing in the background. Look up Bill Conti because he had a lot to do with a lot of 80s movies that I didn't realize he had his hand in, Rocky being one of them. But with that music playing in the background, the entire theater leaned forward. Underdog stories don't age. They truly get better, and this is a very, very good example of an underdog story that just stands the test of time. Number 6, The Terminator. I don't know why I said it like that, but it just felt good. It's low budget, massive impact. This movie feels cold, relentless, and there's no long villain monologue, which I love because to me, what really makes a villain stand out is when he doesn't have a whole lot of dialogue, it's just action. And in the Terminator, you get it. There's no sympathy arc. The Terminator just keeps coming. The red eye, that mechanical theme music at the beginning. The police station scene. It didn't feel like a fantasy. It felt possible, and that's what made it terrifying. This is probably, to me, one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's best roles. And it also shows that the sequel, if you haven't seen Terminator 2, you need to watch it. The sequel in this case is on par, if not better, than the original. But we can talk about that later. Number 5, no list, is capable of being produced without having the movie Ghostbusters in it. 4 scientists lose their jobs, but instead of panicking, they get into the ghost removal business. No branding strategy, no marketing plan, just converted an ambulance and just had the confidence. Bill Murray's dry sarcasm carries half of this movie. Dan Aykroyd plays it straight. Egon barely blinks. Don't cross the streams. We've all said it, but none of us understood it. The movie is still weird, it's still quotable, and it's still great, and it just so happens to be one of our family's favorite movies. We watch it all the time. It's really popular during Halloween, obviously, but number 5 is Ghostbusters. Number 4, Die Hard. I know there's a debate with this movie, but before we get into this debate, let's talk about the movie. Die Hard to me is an all-time action film. And to me it set the standard for a lot of action films, that came later. But Bruce Willis, this is prime Bruce Willis. Alan Rickman as your bad guy. It was just so good. Like, I watched this movie probably more than I should. And that's not a bad thing, because I love it. But, with that said, let's get into the debate behind this movie. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Yes, there's a Christmas party. There are decorations. there's Let It Snow playing at the end, but that is purely atmosphere, not theme. Here's some of the key moments of the movie. Gun taped to his back with Christmas tape, crawling through the air ducts. Now I have a machine gun, ho ho ho. Pulling glass out of his feet, jumping off a roof with a fire hose. Hans Gruber pretending to be a hostage. The slow motion fall from Nakatomi Plaza. I always struggle with that word. That's not holiday magic. That's survival. That's running on instinct. That's staying alive and not dying in a situation where you can die. A Christmas movie truly revolves around Christmas. Home Alone does. Elf does. It's a Wonderful Life does. If you remove Christmas from Die Hard, the story still works and it's still fantastic. If you remove the heist, there's no movie. Die Hard is about redemption, marriage strain, corporate greed, and one exhausted cop trying to outthink an elite crew. It just happens to be in the month of December. And Hans Gruber, smooth, intelligent, controlled, elite 80s villain. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, and deep down, you know I'm right. Which leads me to my villain's hot take. 80s villains were elite. Hans Gruber, Terminator, Darth Vader, Johnny Lawrence, the list goes on. They weren't quirky. They weren't misunderstood. They weren't waiting for redemption arcs. They were intimidating. Modern villains are layered. They have backstories, emotional depths. These aren't bad things, but it's different. In the 80s, the villain felt like a force. And now, the villain oftentimes feels like a case study. But that's just a short tease because I feel we need to cover more of that in episode 3. Number 3, Raiders of the Lost Ark. The opening sequence alone earned a spot. The jungle, the trap, the idle switch, the boulder. One of the best opening scenes in any movie I have ever seen. I really think if you haven't watched Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark, you need to. Harrison Ford in his prime. But throughout the movie, Indiana Jones gets beat up. He makes mistakes. He looks tired half the time, which I don't blame him. That makes him human. And honestly, after this film was created, adventure films changed after this. Like, to me, Raiders of the Lost Ark was a key foundation in what we see in action movies, along with Die Hard and a couple other ones. Number 2, The Empire Strikes Back. Best Star Wars movie ever. And if you disagree, it's okay to be wrong sometimes. The movie had a darker tone, higher stakes. The hero loses. Han's frozen in carbonite. Luke facing Vader. The key line, "I am your father." You can't manufacture movies like that. And let alone moments like that. Sequels aren't supposed to be better, but this one was. So, and I feel this may be another episode later too. I don't like Luke Skywalker. I've never liked Luke Skywalker. Through the whole original trilogy, A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, the kid cries. He whines. Like, when I first saw The Empire Strikes Back when I was younger, I so wanted Darth Vader to kill Luke. And that, granted, the movie would have been over, but I was just hoping that Darth Vader would be like, "All right, dude, I'm done with you. Yes, I'm your father, but it's time to go. Because, for one, you're interrupting my plan. Second of all, you're just a crybaby, and nobody likes crybabies. I don't anyways. But like I said, that can be a future episode. I just wanted to throw it out there. I don't like Luke Skywalker. I never have liked Luke Skywalker. Probably never will. So before we get to number one, I want to throw out some honorable mentions. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, it was tough to leave these out. And to be honest with you, I probably should have done a top 20, but top 10 seems perfect. So here are my honorable mentions. I won't go into great detail on why they didn't make the list, because in a sense, if you've seen all these movies, they should have. But again, with the 80s and the movies that were created during that era, it's really hard to narrow it down to top 10. So, my honorable mentions are Predator, Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon also falls into the Christmas movie conversation, but let's just not get started with that one either. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Aliens, Rocky IV, and of course, The Goonies. Now, I know some of you are like, well, why didn't this make the list? Why didn't that make the list? The Goonies probably being the biggest one. To me, yeah, these movies were great, but they don't have a whole lot of rewatch value, especially The Goonies. I struggle with The Goonies because nostalgia carries this one a lot, and if it's on TV, I'm just like, oh, okay, cool, I remember this moment, I remember that moment, but unless I'm just invested or I'm just wanting to watch it or in the mood, so to speak, I hate to say this, I'm changing the channel. So, my number one, and my wife Becca can attest to this, I quote this movie a lot, has one of my favorite movie quotes of all time, and it has the most amazing soundtrack, Back to the Future. This movie, to me, might be the most perfectly structured blockbuster of the 80s. Every setup pays off in this movie. The fading photo, the clock tower, the 88 miles per hour. Michael J. Fox, I am so glad they went with him instead of the original actor. No offense to the original actor that was casted. Michael J. Fox in this movie is effortless, and Christopher Lloyd is a chaotic genius. If it's on TV, you're not changing the channel. You're staying, and to me, that is greatness. Now, Back to the Future soundtrack, I love it. I love me some Huey Lewis in the News, and he carried this soundtrack, and he created some of the... he was even in the movie. He has a brief cameo during the talent show scene at the beginning of the movie where he's telling Michael J. Fox and his band that they're just too darn loud. But the soundtrack, this is a good example of a movie that when it has a really good soundtrack, everything just meshes well together. That is why Back to the Future is my number one on this list. So let's get to the other hot take that I dropped. E.T. Now, E.T., yes, it's culturally important, but not endlessly rewatchable for me. I don't know. I know it's a Spielberg movie, and it's got a lot of iconic movie moments, especially with the riding the bike and floating in the sky and things like that. It's just, I don't know. Boy, I'm fixing to say something that probably is going to upset a lot of people. But that's what this is about. A top 10 list is always about debate and not always agreeing. I actually do not like this movie. I would honestly, if it comes to an alien movie that's obviously not Aliens, I enjoyed Close Encounter of the Third Kind 10 times better than I did E.T. And that's just my opinion. You can like it, you can not like it. That's the beauty of a top 10 list. And it's just, yeah. So, if you're mad, that's good. That means you care. That means you have an opinion. Email me at mostlymecontact@gmail.com. Tell me why you don't agree with this list. Give me your top 3 80s movies. Tell me your favorite villain. Tell me your favorite hero. I want to be a part of your conversation when it comes to 80s movies. And with that, I'm Brian. Stay mostly you, occasionally wise.